I had a student who came in as a sixth grader. He had anger issues. He was very closed. He didn't interact much with his fellow students. And when he did, it was usually antagonistically or sort of reeling and hiding somewhere. And I saw him in the workshop start to get the confidence through his hands of being a little more bold, having a little more confidence, playing with the materials. And as I was working with him, I learned, you get to know these students so well. It's a very intimate thing to teach someone how to use their hands, because a lot of times you have to be right there. Sometimes even touching their hand and saying, no, you got to hold it this way to make that work. It's a very intimate thing when someone's telling you their design ideas and they're scared because they think you're going to say, oh, these all suck. And so when you say, these are amazing, this one, tell me more about this one, it starts to create a really intense bond, and they begin to trust you. So once he started to trust me, I found out about his other interests in computers and programming, things that he was hiding from his other students, because in his previous school, he was picked on for being, a nerd or a dork or something. And I was like, oh, cool. So you want to try doing your next prototype on the MakerBot? And his eyes just lit up, and he was so excited. He's like, yes, I've always wanted to use one of those. And if you don't know, MakerBot is a 3D printer. And it's used for rapid prototyping. People use it for everything now. I mean, I can go on about that, but I won't. So this student, he was the first student to actually just jump on there and take a Google SketchUp model and convert it, print it out in the MakerBot. And it was so exciting. He held it up like a trophy, and everyone was like, whoa, it passed around. I think every class had to touch it and look at it. And he was so proud. And that was a big shift, where all of a sudden, all of these skills that he had been hiding, programming at night in his bedroom, now he was starting to become more open about them. He felt he was getting praise. He was kind of cool now because he knew how to do this. And that only built, because then he started doing more complex things and started using the laser cutter, and he became the go-to guy for any issues with that technology. And so students, some of the upperclassmen would come to him and say, hey, can you help me out with the laser cutter? Something's not right. And I would see him sort of puff up and I'll be over there in a minute. And upperclassman goes away and he saunters over and said, okay, what's the problem? And it's just this new confidence. It was amazing. And I saw him take that confidence and then bring it back to not only other classes, but back to the physical space of building, not just the programming, but the building part, where he would, experiment with the physical materials again. And an interesting thing about this case is that his understanding of structure, how things go together, how things are going to stay up. A lot of times I see students who they learn all of that by using the physical materials, and then they figure out how to draw and design. And this was sort of the reverse. He designed and played with everything in a virtual realm. And then when he started to make it out of physical materials, he would learn through that failure and understand quickly what went wrong, how it should be done next time, and very quickly learned about building and design in that virtual realm and transferred that over to reality.
This is my first year teaching engineering and a maker class, and I had a lot of fear coming in that students would know more than I would, and that I wouldn't be able to offer them something that they didn't already know. And as soon as I let go of my fear and said, okay, they're going to often know more than I am, but I'm going to flow with it and learn with them, then there was a transition, and I felt empowered, the students felt empowered, and they were teaching each other, and I'm kind of beyond the fear point now.
I think also it allows students to teach students. In the digital media class that I teach, I'm not a movie producer, and I can help students a little bit, but it's amazing when you have these student experts show up, and you never know who it's going to be, and every student has that opportunity at some time to take over that teacher role and shine. And I think that's a beautiful thing to see, and it takes the teacher's anxiety away immediately when that happens.
Another thing I recognize is when we open the space at kind of non-class times, recess, lunch, that kind of a time, there's a cadre of kids that really want to be here, and they really take ownership of the area. They're not messing around. they feel comfortable here. I think they identify with what it means to be in this space. There's something about the space itself that really has an impact on them. And these are kids that maybe don't feel super connected in other places on campus. So it's nice that there's been a place for them where they can create that connection with each other.
Every year, East Bay School for Boys has an orientation week. And this is a time for the boys, if they're coming fresh from 5th grade into 6th grade, or they're coming in as 7th and 8th graders, it's a time for them to redesign their relationship with education. So they're coming in, and right out of the gate, we are empowering them to build their own learning environment, right? And the story is when we built the school, we had no money to buy furniture. And so we thought how great it would be if we taught the boys how to collaborate, how to measure, how to problem solve, how to research in order to build a desk based on Fibonacci's golden ratio. And through that week, they are learning from each other. We are building a culture in this process, a culture of making, of care, of collaboration. All the while they're making these desks, we instructors are able to assess their math skills. When they're doing their research and they have to write their findings, we are looking for their grammar, for punctuation, right? When they are working together, we are noticing what pairs work well together, who might need interpersonal skills, who might need some support social-emotionally. It's a pretty exciting time. So it's our form of beginning of the year assessment, while the boys are having this amazing time building their school, building their learning environment. And they're so deeply engaged in making that they have no idea that they're using math, language arts, history, all of these things. And that is how the human brain and body, humanity really has been learning for millennia.